Good afternoon, everyone. This is an update on the tropics for September 23rd, 2022. We're going to get right into it here. We have Tropical Depression 9 now, currently north of South America, currently south of Haiti. It is expected to become a tropical storm Hermine later today, and it is expected again to be headed to the northwest, bringing impacts to Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, eventually heading northward here into Cuba, and then heading into the Gulf, where it will be impacting right near Florida later on next week. So as you can see, we also still have major hurricane category 4 hurricane Fiona, which will be impacting portions of eastern Canada, and definitely quite the major impacts are expected for portions of eastern Nova Scotia as well. People are definitely preparing there for a massive storm here coming out from the Atlantic. We do have 2 tropical waves also in the main development region. Not much to worry about there, as they are a low chance of development. But we do actually have Tropical Depression 10 that will not be affecting land on the western side of the Atlantic, but the Cabo Verde Islands, you may see some thunderstorm activity. There's also Tropical Storm Gaston still kind of spinning up there in the far northeastern Atlantic. Now here's the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook. We have 4 different storms that are happening here at the same time in the Atlantic. It is definitely quite the peak of hurricane season. It did take its time to really get going, but we are now, I think we are in the peak of hurricane season now. As you can see, there's Tropical Depression 9 with currently 35-mile-per-hour winds and a minimum central pressure of 1,006 millibars. Fiona currently has around winds of 130 miles per hour and a central pressure of 936 millibars, a very strong hurricane. And we also do have Gaston with 65-mile-per-hour winds, a pressure of 995 millibars. And finally, there's Tropical Depression 10 with winds of 35 miles per hour and a central pressure of 1,003 millibars. The one disturbance currently in the middle of the main development region that only has around a 30% chance of development within the next 5 days. We're mainly going to be talking about Tropical Depression 9, which here is that forecast cone. As you can see, it is expected to become a tropical storm later today, but usually this takes a little bit to get to a tropical storm. I think it will be a tropical storm late tonight or tomorrow morning, but it could really or it could even become a tropical storm in a few hours. So definitely any moment here we could see the tropical storm Hermine. As you can see, it is expected to be making impacts, so some small tropical storm impacts on Jamaica. That's when it will be headed towards the Cayman Islands, and that's expected to become a hurricane by around 8 a.m. Monday. That's right over the Cayman Islands. That's going to be headed over towards western Cuba. As you can see, by 8 a.m. Tuesday, that will be a hurricane, possibly even a category 2 hurricane by 8 a.m. Tuesday, impacting Cuba. Definitely some major impacts are expected there, and also more major impacts, especially rainfall and those winds, storm surge also, that will be headed directly towards Florida. And the bad news is that is expected to become a major hurricane by 8 a.m. Wednesday. I do expect some tropical storm watches to be issued here for Jamaica very soon, and also some tropical storm warnings probably to be issued this weekend for portions of the Cayman Islands and also Cuba. Now this is tropical storm force wind speed probabilities. As you can see, Cuba right now is going to be seeing around an 80% chance of tropical storm force winds. Now this will definitely increase over time. This is just kind of the preliminary, as this isn't a tropical storm just yet, but it is expected to become. So as you can see, definitely guaranteed tropical storm force winds for this area. However, I think this is going to be a little more extended. I think this general area, since this wind extent might be so large, that will mainly be, again, those tropical storm force winds or that generalized type of area. Now this path can definitely change. Just keep that in mind. Again, Florida is mainly the bullseye for this as of right now, but the path can change. However, we do have a lot of these models that are going this type of path, but maybe some slight shifts could be definitely warranted for this forecast cone. As you can see, hurricane wind speed probabilities are definitely very low right now, but this will definitely increase probably to over an 80% chance when this does become a hurricane and all that. Now this is the model intensity guidance. This is a whole bunch of models kind of crunched into a graph, and as you can see, we have a bunch of these models that do reach a tropical storm by hour 48. So 40 hours out from now, we will see a tropical storm. Around 72 hours out from now, we will see a Category 1 hurricane, or even earlier, we could see a Category 1 hurricane since the Caribbean is so primed for this. And as you can see, Category 2 hurricane is likely. Category 3 hurricane also right near likelihood for this here around hour 96, and that's when we'll start to be really close to Florida and Cuba, making impacts. Again, we do have some of those models reaching a Category 4 status, and that's probably if it had a more western movement into the Gulf, then it would definitely become a much stronger hurricane like Laura or Ida. Here's the GFS model, and now this is again a preliminary track from the GFS model. Again, we have these models that are heading into the Gulf. We know it's going to be headed into the Gulf. We right now just don't know the exact track it's going to go towards Florida. It could even go into more of the Western Gulf. This track can definitely change in a quick amount of time from now until then, because this is going to be here about 4 or 5 days out once this enters the Gulf here. So as you can see, according to the GFS model, it just goes westward of the Cayman Islands, brings some of those tropical storm impacts, but makes a very strong hurricane here very soon by around 6 a.m. of Tuesday. That possibly even a major hurricane by then. And as you can see, it makes a much more western movement according to the GFS model, which again, it can definitely do this. It just really depends on atmospheric guidance, where it's going to guide it to go. And we can look at the European model, this is the latest European model, which is short. As you can see, goes off to 6 p.m. of September 26th. It does have it as a tropical storm, as you can see, and quite a similar track to the National Hurricane Center, going through the western half of Cuba there. So it definitely, National Hurricane Center is definitely quite confident with the Euro for right now until that GFS model, because the GFS model is definitely interesting with some of these hurricanes, and it kind of shifts them west, shifts them east, just does really weird stuff. And the European model usually just stays confident with a single path. Now it does eventually change sometimes, but as you can see, let's look at the 000 run, which is a little longer. Now here's the European model, which has a much more eastern track, and this did actually have a much more eastern track, even missing Florida to the east. Some of these models did yesterday. Now these are definitely starting to really agree now. Some of these models, as you can see, has a very similar track to the National Hurricane Center, just a little more eastward, and the National Hurricane Center did do a good forecast, I can tell, because they kind of went in between the GFS and the Euro and some of those models. Again, we have a whole hundreds of models that do kind of spaghetti over there. It's just not it's not 1 to 2 models. They have hundreds of models that they do look at and kind of overlay, and that's again spaghetti models, which they really pinpoint that possible track. Again, that can change, kind of wobble a little bit over time, as we are still about 5 days out from now. The track will change, but I will keep you updated. National Hurricane Center will keep you updated. National Hurricane Center, if you want those continuous updates, go to nhc.noaa.gov. That's where you can get the latest updates for Hurricane Fiona and its path. You just have to click on Hurricane Fiona. You will see all the details and the updated track every few hours. Now here's the European model total precipitation, and this is very concerning here. As you can see, we are possibly seeing upwards of 15 to 20 inches of rainfall within these pink swaths. This is preliminary on here, and as you can see, max 20 inches there. So on this little map here, there is 20 inches of rainfall possible for portions of this swath. If Hurricane Hermine makes this direct path, this will change again. This constantly changes, and I will keep you updated with possible rainfall totals. But when we get closer, we will have much accurate rainfall totals, and this is not exactly what's going to happen. But again, very concerning model here for Florida, with over 15 inches of rainfall there. That is definitely some major flash flooding expected. And also, don't forget storm surge, don't forget hurricane force winds. Definitely quite the impacts if Hurricane Hermine does make this direct path into Florida. Now this could also go more westward or even more eastward over time, but right now we are pinpointing portions of central Florida. So we will keep you updated here. Make sure again to go to nationalhurricanecenter.noaa.gov. I will leave that in the comments below for those latest updates every few hours. We are also preparing for a live stream in a few days, so stay tuned for that. Again, we will keep you updated with daily updates and even daily even double uploads every day here once it does become a hurricane. Enjoy. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new and turn on post notifications so you won't miss a single major update on Hurricane Hermine. Make sure to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Stay tuned to your local officials for evacuation plans and all of that stuff if you do live in the path of this, especially in Cuba and Florida. But as always, I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.